Here we end examination of tax haven Ireland. Last but not least, with the area of housing, vulture funds, and NOMA. As previously examined, the Irish government between the 1930s and 1950s made housing a national priority. This all changed with the rise of Jack Lynch and Charles Haughey's Fianna Fáil policies, viewing housing as an asset and not a home. This continued to worsen with the flooding of foreign capital into the country in years to follow, having reached a crisis point with the collapse of the Celtic Tiger. The housing situation of the country continues to be in the grips of vulture funds, with Fianna Fáil and other parties remaining impotent and compliant. Through this privately managed housing model for the benefit of vulture funds, the neglect of social housing programs has come about as a disastrous consequence. No government program to regulate social housing for the good of the native Irish population, ahead of foreign nationals, exists, effectively being a free-for-all. Foreign nationals can apply for social housing as well as buy property, something a number of other countries strictly regulate, to natives being first in the queue. Evidence proves also that foreign nationals are being given priority over Irish natives and citizens, having only been in the country for a matter of just a few years to a few months, being given accommodation ahead of Irish natives having been on housing lists for many years. Why is the state so heavily invested and subservient to the vulture funds and property developers, spending millions annually leasing property from them, when it could just as easily build, as has happened in the past? What is even more perplexing is this decision to rent from the private sector while withholding state land, only benefiting developers by driving up house prices. The only answer being, this is done deliberately, driven by greed. This toxic political property-developer relationship is being intentionally facilitated at the sake of the Irish people, as historically demonstrated through the Main Tribunal and other documented events. One such argument that exists in defense of this is how state support and adherence to the nature of property development in Ireland is a necessary evil, as native capital isn't strong enough to run the property sector without tax breaks and advantages, as tax policies can either stagnate or stimulate property development. The nature of property development and political collusion in modern-day Ireland has its roots in the 1980s, where government of the time began to give tax incentives to the building sector, such as site purchasing costs and loans. In 1986, an urban renewal scheme was launched, overstepping existing planning laws of the time, giving tax breaks for commercial ventures such as office blocks and hotels, while creating a stimulus in jobs. It wasn't long before corruption reared its head, where the planning tribunal of the time investigated links between decisions on urban renewal and money flowing to Fianna Fáil, as the party were in financial straits, offering development rights in return for donations and fundraising activity. Come the 1990s, the economy saw a boom, while taxes should have risen with it, only for Fianna Fáil to cut capital gains tax to keep developers on their side. Investors flocked to the property sector for no other reason than tax benefits. This soon caught the attention of the Department of Finance, questioning this logic of tax cuts during an economic boom, risking destabilizing the wider economy due to asset price inflation. Tax avoidance in the property sector, no thanks to a largely responsible Fianna Fáil government, continued well into the noughties and the Celtic Tiger era. Their tax relief scheme saved developers €8.4 billion in 2004 alone. As the boom grew and grew, Fianna Fáil continued to cut taxes, while building costs and average industrial earnings quadrupled. Being blinded by their arrogance, this eventually would become dangerously unsustainable. The Celtic Tiger property craze became so out of hand that by 2012, half of all wealth in the country was tied up in property, before the eventual and inevitable crash. The Irish state bailed out the moneymen responsible for the property crash through a blanket insurance covering bondholders who speculated and lost and rightly deserved to suffer and take their losses, was a blatant demonstration of the facade of government power and the power of international finance that control and move nations.
Investing, you look at the world and you make an investment. Okay, so that's what it is. Right now we have a world, the U.S. looks pretty good. Okay, and when you had different times, you have to pay attention to money. Okay, money does move markets. Money has moved the credit markets an incredible amount. An incredible amount. Let me tell you a story. You want to hear a great credit story?
Of course I do.
I got a great credit. So we invested in the Bank of Ireland. Okay, the Bank of Ireland. And we bought their bonds, subordinated bonds. And the Bank of Ireland said they were having equity guys invest in the Bank of Ireland, and they wanted to cram us down, okay? And we said, no, you can't cram us down because we'll buy the equity. So we took them.
What, they thought you were just a debt guy?
They thought, well, we go to, we'll play the game. So we went and, we were going to go in English and Irish courts to fight the Bank of Ireland and fight the Irish government for that matter. So, we owned this debt, and we fought them, we won. The debt was trading at 40, 50 cents, and we finally won at the beginning of this year, okay? So the debt was trading 40, 50 cents even last year, 50, 60, something like that. So the Bank of Ireland this year goes and issues a new issue of the same debt, same coupon debt, maybe 2 years shorter, okay? So they issued this debt at par, I don't know, it was a month and a half ago. Okay, same coupon, same thing. The debt now is trading at 115. Okay, this is a company. This is a company and a government that want to cram us down. And they came in here and we bought it. Now the only reason it's worth buying is because we fought it and we won.
Much has since been written and documented on the aftermath, the results of which the country continue to live with, and much of the reason why Ireland is the country it is today. The bailouts that took place in December of 2010 marked the moment Ireland and its people lost economic sovereignty to EU and global financial powers beyond their control. €67.5 billion was borrowed from the European Central Bank, European Commission and International Monetary Fund, while €17.5 billion was raided from the State Pension Fund, totaling a bailout of €85 billion. 35 of which was used to bail out the country's banks.